Morning, everybody. This is my video about my tip gettin Dutch oven cake that I make. And I call it tip gettin because when you make it in hunting camp, the hunters really love it and they give you better tips. But we're doing a Dutch oven. And maybe I'll cut this into some videos at some point in time. Step one, you got to light your fire. It don't do you no good to do this if you don't have your coals going. So we got to get our coals going the first thing, or else you'll be waiting on your coals. I got way more coals than I need there, so we'll be dumping some of them out eventually. But this is the easiest way I've found to light them coals up. And I'm using kind of lump charcoal because that's what I use in the forge. All right, we'll see if that don't light. I might have to add a little lighter fluid to it, but I hate to do that. That might take off. We get a little wind blowing on it. So you'll notice that I'm not using charcoal briquettes. This is probably easier with charcoal briquettes, but if you're in hunting camp, you don't ever have no charcoal briquettes. You're using the coals out of the fire for this. So we're going to try to do this in a more traditional way. All right. Now let's come up here and I'll show you how easy that is. Okay, first thing is, you got to get that started first. That's the first thing because you're going to be waiting on that because it don't take very long to get this cake going. So I've got this little Dutch oven. This is very small, but it's just me and I'm not going to build a great big one, but this will give you the idea because what you're looking for is when you put your batter in here, you don't want your batter to come up only about a quarter of an inch up, a quarter of the way up whatever size of Dutch oven you're using. And we're going to use snow-capped lard. Don't screw around. Just get some lard. It works great. You can take it to hunting camp with you. It doesn't go bad. It's way better for you than Crisco. And when you do this in this Dutch oven, you don't want to grease it all the way up. You only want to grease it about halfway up. So I'm going to cut off a whack of lard there, and that's way more than I need. Oh, the other thing is, if you're gonna put some kind of a frosting on this, set your cream cheese out and let it get soft. In hunting camp, you never have everything that you need. One of my favorite toppings for stuff is cream cheese and jelly. And you always have jelly in hunting camp because you're always making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So if you mix cream cheese and grape jelly, cream cheese, and strawberry jelly, and just whip it up. That makes a great topping for all kinds of stuff. And it's delicious, and your hunters will love you for it. Um, but I'm trying to cut out some of the sugar, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to use straight cream cheese. So leave it out so it gets thawed out. All right. So I got a little lard here, or a little snow cap. We're going to put a little down there in there, about halfway up the inside of this Dutch oven. Not all the way up, halfway up. Okay, about halfway up the side. All right. Then we're going to get us a pan. Now, this is the greatest thing about this is because this cake, this is stuff that you already have. Usually you have in hunting camp. If you're not carrying crusties into hunting camp, then you ain't no hunter. This is what you need to carry. Either this or snoqualmie. This is for pancakes, and you can make all kinds of stuff with this. But this is the easiest. I've been doing this. I think I did this cake the very first time in 1990, and it was very popular. So, so we're going to start with the liquids first, because we're going to make we want to get our batter right, and so we got to know how much liquid that we're going to have. Okay. So you can do this with all kinds of fruit. My favorite fruit to use is pineapple tidbits. I like a pineapple cake. Goes real good with the cream cheese frosting. So if you've ever made pancakes with crusties, you know that all you got to do is add water to it. Well, instead of the water, we're going to use the syrup out of the pineapple. So we're going to put the pineapple tidbits and the juice in there. I'm going to move this over here. I might actually spend a little more time on this coals, because these coals aren't going very good yet. So I'm going to, I know what I've got. I know what I can use. Of course, if you're in hunting camp, you'd have coals, and you could actually even take coals out of the stove if you're cooking in the stove. But we don't have a stove. We're in a blacksmith shop. Let's see if that doesn't get it going a little bit. All right. So I like to use a spatula. I like to use a spatula for this. Just because it makes cleanup a little easier. And you're going to very carefully, and this is a lot, that is a lot of pineapple for this little tiny, that's a lot of pineapple for this little tiny Dutch oven. So now we just whip. We want this to look like cake batter. We want it thinner than pancake batter. Now this is one of those things that it doesn't take much of this. That's probably darn near 2 cups I've added to that. Pretty close. We're going to mix it real good. Now, that is going to be one pineapple-y cake. I might add now, if you need to stretch this, the easiest way to do it is applesauce. One of those things that most usually you have in hunting camp because you're using it to cook meat a lot. I used to carry this applesauce in, and it was a good thing to send out with the hunters in their saddlebags. That's unsweetened applesauce, so that's always good. So now that's looking like cake batter. Something like that. We're having a hard time with our coals. We might have to get a little serious about this. This is the problem, is the coals. Only in a blacksmith shop do you have trouble with coals. Hello. So that's a lot for that little pan, little Dutch oven we're using. That would be enough for like probably a 10-inch pan. And we're using a, what is that, an 8? Probably an 8-inch. It's our little Dutch oven. Well, we're getting some coals there now. So now I'm going to dump this into that greased Dutch oven that I used snow cap lard about halfway up the side of it. Yeah, that's probably plenty. see that? Because it's going to go. So essentially what we're making is a great big giant cupcake. A great big giant pineapple cupcake. Now, like I said, I greased that up to about halfway up that. The object of this is when that rises up, it'll brown around the edge and it'll pull the cake in to the inside if we do this right. The trick to this is getting your coals right. You want about a nice even layer of coals that is about a third of the size of the base of your pan. You don't want them sticking up high, so anything really big, we're going to take out. I don't want anything that's going to be touching the bottom of the pan because that's going to make the Dutch oven overheat. I want them to be, oh, he was in today. I'm going to just make a nice low, about a third of the bottom of the pan is going to be covered. You see that, you guys? The apprentice was in today. He went back to school, so he's working when he can. This is a tool from ZPL & Co. ZPL & Co. This is kind of his multi-tool that he makes. Now, I would love to show you one of the tools that I make, but I've sold them all, and so I don't have any. So I'm gonna help my buddy sell some of his tools. This is kind of a multi-purpose tool. Bottle opener, Dutch oven hooker, wood hooker. It's like a picaroon. It's got a bunch of different tools in it. not real happy with the way those coals are going. Looks like the bottom ones are pretty good. So the trick to this is this will take about, if you've got really good hot coals, this should only take about 20 minutes to cook. And that means you have to be turning the skillet you got to turn the lid, and you got to turn the base. Now I try to keep the heat out of the center. So I'll pull the coals back out of the center of the Dutch oven and leave the lid, the bail on the lid away from there, and I'll put a ring of coal around the outside about, depends on the size of the Dutch oven. So those coals aren't going great, so this might take a few minutes. But we do real Dutch oven cooking. Now, if you're cooking in hunting camp and you've got good hot coals all the time because you've got a fire and a stove going, or you're Dutch oven cooking and you've got a campfire going, literally this is a 20-minute thing. If you're really persnickety about this, you would actually use charcoal briquettes. Like if we were seriously cooking for somebody, like when I was cooking this weekend, we used charcoal briquettes because it's a lot easier to control your heat. But it's going to take a little bit for this to go. That's my little bowls that I make out of copper. Forgot I'd left that out here. I got it pretty thin. You can actually see daylight through it. I pounded it so thin. So I'm not going to let this get too hot before I turn this. So I generally do like a quarter turn this way with the lid and a quarter turn the opposite way with the Dutch oven itself. And that way the heat gets you get the heat pretty evenly dispensed around there. This is going to take forever because we don't have near the coals that we need. So good thing this is a live stream, huh? And I just do it the same every time the same way, and that way I don't have to think about it. And that's the way I was taught. That's the way Ron Reed that taught me how to do this. I turn the Dutch oven counterclockwise, and turn the lid clockwise. But you can do it any way you want to. So generally, like I said, generally if you had really hot coals going here and they were all gray, and what you want is, you want coals, to make sure that they're going, your coals need to be about 60% gray. And that will tell you that your coals are going to stay going. If you get them much less than 60%, especially if you're using a charcoal briquette, you take the chance of them going out, especially when you set them up underneath the Dutch oven. This is a really nice little Dutch oven. It's got a really high lip on the lid, which works really good. And I should never do this. This is not what you want to do at this stage of this deal. I'm going to try to get them going a little better on top, because the bottom's going to outrun the top, and then we'll burn the bottom. Hello, good evening. We're doing a little Dutch oven cooking. I'm going to do a live stream, and then I'm going to try to turn it into some videos. Maybe I ought to lower this. That might help. That might be good. Pull that up, and then you guys can kind of see that cooking. My stand, and so I don't have a lot of tip down with this one. I'm kind of using the second string tools around here. Here, maybe that'll work. Oh yeah, that's a little better. So you can see those are going a little better now. Yeah, at least I'll have a tool to use around here now because I can't sell this one because it was a gift. This is this stuff is crazy. I think he's making this stuff out of like AS1 or something. This is the steel that they use for cutting out rifle targets. It's some seriously stiff stuff. I could see this would be a handy tool to have behind the seat of your pickup. ZPL & Co. Tools and metal goods. Here's the code. There's the tool. If I was cooking all the time and every day and I was cooking big stuff, it's a little too short to use as a Dutch oven lid, but in a pinch. And of course it's got a bottle opener in there and all kinds of hooks for hanging stuff. You could, if you wanted to hang a pot, you could hang that from a tree branch and hang a pot on there, and that would, so it's got a lot of different uses. But it would be a good tool to carry behind the seat of your pickup, I think. Quarter turn. It's starting to. You don't want to take the lid off too many times. Like generally, if you were cooking this and you knew what you were doing, you had actually fire going. You don't want to lose that heat out of that oven. So you keep the lid on it for the first 15 or 20 minutes. This might be a half an hour process in this. I don't know. Like I said, if we'd started with better coals, we'd have better luck. I didn't use all of the batter though, so you guys want to see what the batter looks like. So literally it was one can of pineapple with the juice, one of the small containers of unsweetened applesauce, all stuff that I generally take into hunting camp with me. And then we just mixed it into a batter with some crusties. And you can see it's actually, that batter's actually activating. You can see the bubbles coming up out of it. So that ought to work good in that Dutch oven. I wish I had another little Dutch oven. Actually, I could do that. Got this stainless one. I'll oil this halfway up with white cap, lard, put it in the toaster oven. Yeah, we'll put that in the toaster oven. I wish I had something good in here, but it's just iced tea. Sun tea, the last of the sun tea I made. Put it in there and put it in the refrigerator. Sun tea, black sun tea. But the good thing is we're getting some coals here now. I'm not really paying attention to the time on this deal. This sucker might end up in the Dutch, or in the. This might end up in the toaster oven too. We're getting some coals going there now, though. Oh yeah. My pan isn't exactly level, so one side of my pie is going to be, or cake is going to be thicker than the other, probably. But I've never had a hunter complain about it. Yeah, so I've been doing this since about 1990. I started doing Dutch oven cooking, and my first wife, her dad was a professional Dutch oven cook, and as you can tell from my videos, I still help them do this. I don't know how much longer we're going to. I think Ron's about to retire from it, but we do a lot of Dutch oven and chuck wagon cooking, a couple of 4 or 5 times a year. A lot of times we'll do a Christmas or a Thanksgiving thing. If you have a 16-inch Dutch oven and you fill it full of pie, it will weigh about 40 pounds. It's almost as heavy as a salt block to lift that pie. And then we did cobbler. But my favorite thing of Ron's is he does a sourdough biscuit that is just fantastic. I know I'm spinning this too much. Oh, I turned that the wrong way. Oh well. Like I said, I generally turn the pot counterclockwise, and I turn the lid clockwise generally. And that keeps you from burning anything. Hello. Greetings from Cody, Wyoming. We're doing a little Dutch oven cooking here. I'm showing everybody my dump cake that I make. So, the applesauce is a trick from vegans. When they want a cake to be moist and they don't want to add butter to it, they use applesauce because the applesauce will hold the moisture in, and so that works pretty good for this. I'm trying to keep the sugar down on this deal a little bit just because I'm trying to watch, as you can see, I'm trying to watch my weight a little bit. So, generally what I would do, because in hunting camp you are not worried about calories. You can't hardly intake enough calories to stay ahead if you're in hunting camp and you're actually working. Here in Wyoming, you easily will burn 5,000 calories a day in hunting camp. So you hardly eat 5,000 calories worth of food. So generally what I will do is I will bring in some cream cheese, and one of my favorite things to do is take cream cheese, which is easy to pack into hunting camp. You can use it in everything. Like you want to spice up macaroni and cheese, add some cream cheese. You want to spice up your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, mix your strawberry jam with some cream cheese, and then put that on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah. You want to do stuffed peppers, stuff them with cream cheese and bacon. You fry up a bunch of bacon, mix it in with the cream cheese, put it in a pepper, or wrap it in bacon. Woo! Yep. So a lot of times I'll take cream cheese in, and they come in sealed packages. So even if they get warm or they get smashed, they work real good in hunting camp. You know, it's a good thing to take in. Especially if you're only going in for a couple of days, because it's fairly easy to keep it refrigerate cold, you know. They've got some new technology now that really makes keeping this stuff cold and hunting. Of course, what you do is you just put it in the creek. When we went to hunting camp, we would just take this stuff, and this time of year the creeks don't get above 39 degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees. If you've got a little ice in there when you throw it in the creek, they stay good and cold, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, look at that tool. He's got videos on his site of using it for picking up wood, like a picaroon and opening. There's a lot of tools on there. Starting to rise up. Pretty slow cooking though. Well, I'm going to go check the other one. Let's go see what the other one's doing. I'll take some of this back and put it in the chest. It's starting to warm up. I might have to raise the temperature of it a little bit. I've got it set at 250 degrees. Oh, there go the rabbits. I should have a chair sitting over here. This last weekend, my son and Ron and Arlene Reed cooked for 54 people. We damn near ran out of food. We had so many people. We had more people than we thought we were going to. Should have got me a cigar when I went to town today. But I didn't. Yeah, I wish that was hotter. But it is what it is. Takes a little longer to cook. It'll be fine. He's got this slightly magnetic. If a fellow was to put a couple of nice wood handles on there, that would be a handy tool. But I could see you hanging that, like if you wanted to hang a pot on it above a fire, that'd be a nice tool to do that with. You could tie it that way or tie it that way and then hang your pot from it. That'd keep you from burning your stick. But it works real good for this. I made about 5 really fancy ones this year and I sold every one of them. I don't have one left to show you. I can start and smell it now. This should be done by now. If my coals had actually gotten hot, I would have let them get good and hot. I should have put them on the forge and started them on the forge with the blower. I wasn't thinking. I thought, oh, those will take off. But it's got some heat to it. It's raising up. It ain't near brown yet, but it's raising up. The good thing is it's pretty warm. It's, I don't know, it's probably 70 degrees. So, and we don't have any wind. And all of that stuff really affects the way that everything cooks. If you've got a wind and you got a wind blowing across that, it'll double or triple your heating time. What Ron uses is he's got the old steel pans that we used to use for draining our oil out in. They're 30 inches wide across and they're, oh, I don't know, 7 or 8 inches deep. And he'll put some coals in the bottom of that and then drop that Dutch oven on top of there, and that really helps with the heat, keep the heat in. They work really good. Doesn't take much coals for that little tiny Dutch oven. I bet you that Dutch oven is 100 years old. That's an early one. All right, I'm gonna go check the other one. Let's go check the one that's not in the Dutch oven. Over here in the kitchen. Guess I'll use my welding glove. Rising up too. We're getting somewhere. A couple of tools you need to do this work though. You got to have something to lift your Dutch oven with, and then you got to have some kind of a shovel. So I just use the ones that I use for the forge. That's the forging shovel that I made years ago. Yeah, I was dumb. I should have fired those charcoals up if I ever got started. We'd be done with this by now. Well, maybe that'll help. Does that microphone work better? Is it going to turn into a cake? I don't know. It might just be a gloopy mess at the bottom of the pan. I don't know. I've only done, oh shit, I don't know, 15 or 20 of these probably in 30 years. Pretty quiet. I think it's raised up. All it's going to raise up. Looks to me like it's just needs to brown now. It's about that high. In there, it's probably doubled or better. Thanks for the likes, everybody. Sometimes if we had just a little bit of a draft, it would help. But I don't dare do this outside because I don't want to catch everything on fire out there. If I catch my shop on fire, it ain't a big deal. I know how to put it out. But if I set this out there and one of them sparks blew out there and caught the weeds on fire, I think my neighbors would be mad at me. It's cooking slow, but it's cooking even. If it looked like the bottom coals were getting a lot hotter than the top coals, as we got to where I felt like and of course, just like with baking a cake, you can tell when the cake's done if you greased your pan right. The top of the cake should separate from the edge of the pan. That's a pretty good bet. Now, I do have sticks over here, and before we get all the way done with this, I will reach down into this cake and make sure that nothing sticks with a chopstick. But we got a ways to go before we do that. Going. I guess it's better if it takes a little longer than goes too fast, because if you go too fast, you'll burn the shit out of it. Oh my God, it smells good. Smells pretty good. That little applesauce trick, of course, there's plenty of moisture in you don't really have to worry about it. I've done it with other fruits, like I've done it with like mixed fruit, but the bad part is you better take the grapes out, because the grapes they don't work, so you got to strain the grapes out. I think the pineapple works about as good as anything that I've used. And then once it gets good and brown, on the top, then we'll just cut that cream cheese on there and lay that cream cheese in there on the top and let it melt into that son of a gun. And you don't ever want to take one out of the Dutch oven, because if you can tip it over and slide it out, make it like a real cake if you want to. But the bad part about that, especially if you're in your hunting camp, then what do you do with it? You're better off to leave your cake in the Dutch oven, because if you don't eat it all, you can leave the lid on it, and set it out on the table or something, and the mice don't get into it. But if you take that cake out of that Dutch oven or a pie or whatever, and you don't have something good and secure, the mice and everything will be into that son of a gun quicker than you can shake a stick out overnight. So I guarantee that even Mickey Mouse couldn't get the lid off of that Dutch oven by himself. But boy, they'll get into it if you let them. So everybody's like, well, what do you do with the pie? You take the pie out of the Dutch oven? No, you just serve the pie in the Dutch oven. Same thing with the biscuits. Just leave them in the Dutch oven. They'll stay moister in the Dutch oven than you trying to take them out and wrap them in tin foil and put them someplace. Because I don't care how mouse-proof you think you've got your camp. There ain't no such thing. Well, let's see if I can get a little light here. Oh yeah, look at there. That's better. Get a little light on the subject. I'll pull this up. Let's see, can I take this down anymore? I can't really take it down anymore. Can I tip you guys up somehow? I want to show you what it looks like. I think we just got to let it brown. What do you guys think? I think we just got to let it brown up a little. Generally, I wouldn't have that many coals underneath that, but they aren't burned very good. So generally, I put about a third of the surface area of the bottom of the Dutch oven. That's what I would use for coals, generally. Just going to try to keep this a little hot. On a big Dutch oven, if you're using charcoal briquettes, and you can go watch those short videos that I posted here, I don't know, the last couple of days. On a 14-inch Dutch oven, it takes about 40 or 50 charcoal briquettes. So on a 14-inch Dutch oven, you generally, depending if the weather's good, you'll put 13 charcoal briquettes underneath, and then the rest you'll put in 2 rows around the top of the Dutch oven around the top in 2 rows, generally. If you're doing it like this, you kind of do the same thing, only not. You go 2 or 3 inches or whatever all the way around the outside. Keep the center of the Dutch oven clear. And then about a third to a half of the circumference of the bottom. But it depends on your coals and how high your coals are. Because if you got big old coals like that and it's burning good and hot, it's a lot closer to the bottom of your Dutch oven, and you'll burn things. So that's why you always got to be turning stuff around. It's getting fairly cooked. Our top's not browning very good. This Dutch oven has pretty high legs on it too, which allows you to get more coals underneath, which works pretty good. Well, I think old Zach's multi-tool is just going to live in the shop because that beats the heck out of me trying to use my fire poker to lift those lids and stuff with because I don't have any designated lid. I'm gonna go get a chopstick. Stand by. Oh, I want to go check that other. I want to go check that other one too. That I've got in the. That I've got over here in the oven. Okay. I hope you guys can see this. It's here in the light. Okay. So it's just barely sticking. So I'm going to put it in for just a second more. But I bet you in 5 minutes we could flip that son of a gun over and it'd pop right out of there. So I'm going to go put it back in for just a minute more. But that's pretty much what I'm looking for. No matter what, these cakes are they are going to stick some because there's a lot of moisture in the pineapple. You're going to get, when you test that cake with that chopstick, you're going to get some, a little bit of residual, but you don't want it to be gloopy. See, it's separated just like that. It's separated away from the edge of that. I want that to be crisp a little. It's never going to be real crispy, but I want it to be more done on the top. So what I'll do is I'll set that on there like that. I'm going to take it off of those coals. What I probably ought to do want that top to be done. Must be just about out of juice. Okay. Well, so I took the coals off the bottom, threw them on the top. I'm going to try to brown the top of that. While that's browning, we will knock the rest of the Goomba off of this. Robert Redford died. I bet you guys didn't know it, but he had an awful lot to do with my life. Mr. Redford did. He was quite a guy. All right, I'm going to go get that other pie. Cake. Not pie, cake. Oh my goodness. Well, this was the one and the other one. This was what was left over. If we had enough, we could have done I should have used a 10-inch. I guess I should have used a 10-inch. You think I can get this out in one piece without it all busting into pieces? Let's see. Apparently not. If I let it cool though, it might just drop right out of there. Sure wish those coals were hotter. We'd have much better luck. That's a little hot. think it's stuck in there a little bit. That stainless steel is not the most conducive thing to cook stuff like this in. Especially this little thin stuff like this. Well, it came apart, but you can see that it's cooked. You can see it was cooked all the way through. Almost like pudding. Okay, so now oh my goodness. Okay. All right, let's test. Cream cheese. It's cooked all the way through, and it isn't going to get any moister than that. Oh, goodness. Wow. That in hunting camp, that'd get you a $100 tip right there. I should have let it cool off and it would have come right out of that pan. But you can see it's cooked all the way through. Super moist. No wet spots. If you let it cool off all the way, it'll firm up. It's almost like pudding now. That's really good. Okay. Sour cream cheese. If you were to take some jelly take some jelly. And mix into that cream cheese a little bit. Still a little stiff. There you go. That makes a fantastic, easy way to make a cake in hunting camp. You don't have to add cream cheese. If you had some peanut butter and you added a little butter or oil to some creamy peanut butter and thinned it up and spread it on the top of that, pineapple peanut butter, that would be delicious too. But you can see all right, everybody. Blacksmith tip of the day. Tip gettin. 1 pan, pretty much 1 pan. Pineapple. I guess it'd be pineapple upside down cake, but we don't turn it upside down. Questions, comments? Let me know. That's some rich cake. You can try it at home. You can put it in the oven. You can put the Dutch cast iron in the oven. The hard part is, because of the legs, you got to have something to set it on. And you need something really, really big, because if you use like a pie plate and set it in there, the heat doesn't get up underneath doesn't circulate up underneath up under your Dutch oven very good. So you got to use like a cookie sheet. Just like I did there, you can just set it on a cookie sheet. Yeah, that's pretty good. I guess just did this for you guys. I don't really need this pie. I'm trying to cut out all the sweets, but I wanted to show you how that turned out. I guarantee the hunters and guides in hunting camp, they would probably just damn near die if you did that for them. bet Dick Preineke knew how to build one of those. There's our pie, or our cake, with just some cream cheese on the top of it. All right, there you guys go. Happy Dutch oven cooking. Questions, comments? Imagine that would be really good. Like if you had some pears chopped up, pears would probably work real good too. Like canned pears, but you'd have to really chop them up good before you used them, which just adds a couple of steps. The pineapple already comes in the right configuration. This was niblets. It works even better if you use the stuff that's already broken up. I didn't see any at the grocery store the day though when I went in. This is what they had, so that's what I used. All right. I'll be making some videos out of this. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Get out and hit those safety squints if you like the comments. If you like what I do with the channel, you know what to do. Thanks, everybody.